You know that feeling when everyone's asking, "Why don't you ever go out?" And you just smile and nod. Not because you're scared, not because you're sad, but because being home, genuinely, completely home, feels like breathing for the first time all day. If you know exactly what I'm talking about, listen up, because you're not antisocial, you're not broken, and you're definitely not wasting your life. Here's what nobody tells you about people who love being home. Your brain isn't running from the world. It's running a completely different operating system, one that most people don't have, and secretly wish they did. Stay with me. Picture this. It's Friday night. Your phone lights up with an invitation, someone's birthday, a bar downtown. It'll be fun, just come. And instead of excitement, you feel something tighten. Not fear, not laziness, something harder to explain. Here's the thing, most people assume you're shy, or that something went wrong somewhere. But that's not what's actually happening. Your nervous system, the one that runs every single thing you do, processes the world differently. When others feel energized by noise and crowds and new faces, your system is calculating the cost. Like a phone running 15 apps at once, you can do it. But you feel every single battery percentage dropping, every single time. And this is not a flaw in your design, this is a feature. And science has finally caught up with the proof. Let me break down what's really happening in that brain of yours. Dr. Elaine Aron from Stony Brook University spent over 2 decades studying a trait she called sensory processing sensitivity. Scientists call this high SPS. In plain English, your brain registers and processes more information from your environment than the average person's does. And here's what this means for you right now. Every conversation, every sound, every shift in someone's mood, your brain files it, weighs it, and responds to it. It's not overthinking. It's deep processing. There's a difference. Here's what makes it even more fascinating. A 2020 study published in Brain and Behavior found that people with high sensory processing sensitivity show significantly more activation in areas of the brain linked to empathy, awareness, and planning. Not anxiety, not dysfunction, depth. Think of it this way. Your brain is playing chess while others are playing checkers. But chess takes more energy. It requires quiet. It requires space. And home, your home, is where you get to reset the board. Here's the evolutionary piece most people miss. While other early humans were charging into new territory, your ancestors were the ones watching, waiting, and noticing what others missed. You're not avoiding life. You're exactly what careful, thoughtful survival needed. But here's what nobody really talks about. For most people who love being home, this didn't start as a preference. It started as a discovery. Think about being 7 or 8 years old. You come home from school, a full day of noise and questions and performance, and the moment you step through the front door, something drops. Shoulders down, breath slower. The spinning in your chest, quiet. You probably didn't have a word for it then. But your brain learned something important in that moment. It learned that the world out there required a version of you that took effort. And home? Home was where you got to be the version that didn't. That lesson ran deep. And if your childhood home was unpredictable, if peace wasn't always guaranteed there either, your brain worked even harder to build an internal home. A place inside yourself that felt safe. Exactly. You didn't just love being home. You became someone who knew how to create safety wherever you were. That's not weakness. That's one of the most sophisticated things a nervous system can learn to do. And here's the gift no one told you was there. People who built that internal sanctuary, they carry it with them. They're the ones who can sit with uncertainty and not fall apart. The ones who recharge in stillness instead of burning up in noise. They are the lighthouse, not running from the storm, but steady inside it. Now here's where the science takes a turn most people don't expect. Introversion, the trait most often associated with loving home, is not about fear of people. Psychologist Hans Eysenck discovered something that changed the entire conversation. It comes down to dopamine. Scientists call this the optimal arousal theory. In plain English, every brain has a baseline level of stimulation it finds comfortable. And here's what this means for you right now. Extroverts have a lower baseline. They need more input to feel alive. Your baseline is already running higher. You don't need the party to feel awake. You're already awake. A 2012 study by neuroscientist Randy Buckner at Harvard University found that introverts show more blood flow in the frontal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for concentration, planning, and inner focus, not emptiness, not avoidance, more of everything that matters. The world calls you quiet. Your brain calls it efficient. Here's where everything changes. Society has a story about people who stay home. The story goes like this: you're missing out. You're hiding. Life is happening out there, and you're letting it pass you by. But that story was written by people who don't understand your wiring, because here's the countercultural truth that researchers keep confirming. The people who love being home tend to know themselves better. They make decisions more carefully. They maintain deeper connections with fewer people. They don't get swept up in the noise of other people's urgency. Think about that. In a world that profits from your distraction, your stillness is almost radical. Your home isn't a cage, it's a laboratory. It's where you think your clearest thoughts, where you read, create, imagine, feel, the lighthouse, stay anchored while everything else spins. This doesn't mean you never go out. It doesn't mean you don't love people. It means you're intentional about where your energy goes. And that kind of intentionality? That's not something most people stumble into. That's something you built. Quietly, slowly, on your own. You're not missing out on life. You're living a kind that most people are too distracted to notice. So the next time someone raises an eyebrow at your Friday night plans, the ones that involve a blanket, a book, and silence, you don't need to apologize. You don't need to explain your nervous system to someone who's never had to think about theirs. You just need to know what you now know, that the science is on your side, that your brain is not broken. It's built differently, that the home you love isn't a hiding place. It's a homecoming. And if this video put a name to something you felt your entire life, if it finally said out loud what you always suspected but couldn't prove, then share it with someone who needs to hear it, because somewhere out there, someone is sitting alone on a Friday night feeling guilty about it, and they need to know they're exactly where they're supposed to be.